Hi, my name is Adrian, and this is Ferrari Garage. And before you click away thinking this is another clickbait title, let me be crystal clear. These tricks aren't illegal in a courtroom. They're illegal in the sense that the dealer, the manufacturer, and the shop around the corner would rather you never discovered them. Because every single one of these 17 things cost the automotive industry money the moment you learn it. I've spent the last 11 years tearing into engines, pulling apart drivetrains, and talking to engineers who go off the record the second the recorder turns off. What they told me changed how I maintain every car I own. And music today, it changes how you maintain yours. Trick number 1, the oil overfill secret. Every car manual on earth tells you to fill your oil to the max line on the dipstick and stop there. That's the official answer. Here's the engineering answer that nobody prints in an owner's manual. Cold start is when 90% of all engine wear happens. The moment you turn that key on a cold morning, music, there's a window of roughly 3 to 5 seconds where your oil pump is still building pressure and your bearings are running partially dry. That's not a music theory. That's documented in a 1987 Society of Automotive Engineers study, Music, that the industry quietly acknowledged and then never talked about again. Running your oil level at approximately 1/4 quart above the max line, not a full quart, not half a quart, 1/4, creates a marginally deeper oil reservoir that your pump pulls from faster during those critical startup seconds. The film thickness at the bearing journals is measurably thicker during that vulnerable window. Now, music, I want to be precise here because I can already see the comments coming. 1 full quart over causes ablation. The crankshaft starts whipping through oil instead of air, creates foam, and you lose pressure. That's music real, and that's dangerous. 1/4 quart above max is not that situation. Music, it's a controlled margin that every engine builder I've ever talked to runs in their personal vehicles. A retired GM powertrain engineer told me privately, and I'm paraphrasing because he still consults for the industry, the max line is a legal liability marker, not a performance target. Music, the engine doesn't know the difference between max and a quarter above max. The bearing does. Trick number 2, the fuel tank trick nobody teaches. Stop filling your tank past the first click of the pump. I know that feels wrong. I know you're standing there in the rain trying to round up to an even $20. And the music instinct is to squeeze every last drop in. Stop doing it. Here's what's happening inside your fuel system every time you top off. Your gas tank is not designed to be completely music full. Manufacturers engineer a vapor space at the top of the tank, typically 10 to 15% of total capacity, that allows fuel to expand with heat without pressurizing the system. That vapor music space connects directly to your evaporative emission canister, a charcoal-filled cylinder that captures fuel vapors instead of venting them to the atmosphere. When you overfill, liquid gasoline enters that canister. Charcoal canisters are designed for vapor, not liquid. Liquid fuel saturates the charcoal. Music destroys its absorption capacity and turns a vapor management component into a fuel delivery problem. A saturated canister causes rich running conditions, failed emissions tests, music, and a check engine light coded as an evap system fault. Charcoal canister replacement runs $400 to $800 at a dealership, depending on your vehicle. The fix is music free. Stop at the first click every single time. I'll be honest with you. I topped off my own tank for 12 years before a fuel systems engineer at a conference looked at my repair bill and just shook his head. 12 years. The industry is counting on habits exactly like that one. Trick number 3, the air filter lie. Your dealership will tell you to replace your air filter every $15,000 or more. Some manufacturer maintenance schedules stretch it to $30,000. Both of those recommendations assume you never do anything except throw the old one away and install a new one. Here's what that advice is missing. Music. Air filters don't fail uniformly. A filter driven on a dirt road for $5,000 an hour is more music restricted than a filter driven on a clean highway for $20,000. The mileage interval is a guess designed to cover the average case. Your filter may need attention sooner, or it may have another $20,000 demurrage of life that you're throwing in the trash. The real trick is inspection music and cleaning on a 5,000 milliliter cycle, not replacement. Pull the filter. Hold it up to sunlight. If light passes through the pleats, music, it's still flowing air. Take a can of compressed air, the same kind you'd clean a keyboard with, and blow from the clean side outward. 30 seconds. You've just restored airflow to 90% of original capacity. Induction systems need tighter gaps because cylinder pressure at boost music can extinguish a flame kernel that's too large. Naturally aspirated engines over 60,000 per alarm. This works every time. Trick number 6, the coolant flush timing truth. The industry tells you to flush your coolant every $30,000 more per swimming. That recommendation is a calendar-based guess wrapped in a maintenance schedule designed to generate service revenue at predictable intervals. Here's what actually determines whether your coolant is protecting your engine or eating it. pH. Fresh coolant runs at a pH between 8.5 and 10.5, mildly alkaline, chemically stable, and protective against corrosion. Music. As coolant ages, the inhibitor package depletes. pH drops. Below 7, your coolant becomes acidic. Below 7, it starts attacking aluminum cylinder heads, water pump impellers, music, and the inside of your heater core. A $2 pH test strip from any aquarium supply store tells you exactly where your coolant stands. Music, green or blue strip, you're fine. Drive on. Yellow or orange, flush it, regardless of mileage. Music. That $2 test just saved you from a $400 head gasket complication caused by coolant you trusted because the calendar said it was fine. Music. I test my coolant every $10,000 me. It takes 30 seconds. In 11 years, I have flushed coolant, music, at $19,000 mean on one vehicle and driven $72,000 mean on music, another without needing a flush. Because the pH held, mileage told me nothing, chemistry told me everything. A music trick number 7, the battery terminal trick. Corrosion on battery terminals is the automotive equivalent of a slow gas leak. You don't notice it until something fails, and by then, you've already been paying the music price for months. Corrosion is conductive resistance. Every milliohm of resistance at the terminal reduces the voltage available to your starter motor. A starter designed to receive 12.6 volts that receives 11.88 volts cranks slower, draws more current, and generates more heat in the motor windings. Over time, that heat, music, kills starter brushes prematurely. But here's the part shops never mention. Your ECU communicates with sensors across the same electrical ground network that runs through corroded terminals. Dirty terminals create voltage offsets in the ground, music reference that your oxygen sensors, MAF sensor, and throttle position sensor all report against. You can have a perfectly functional sensor giving your ECU garbage data because of battery terminal corrosion. The fix is embarrassingly simple. Disconnect both terminals, mix music, a tablespoon of baking soda, and a cup of warm water. Apply with an old toothbrush, watch it bubble, that's acid neutralizing in real time. Rinse, dry, coat the terminals in petroleum jelly before reconnecting. Total cost, essentially nothing. Shops charge $60 for this service. I'll let you sit with that for a moment. Trick number 8, music, the tire rotation pattern manufacturers hide. Your owner's manual shows you a rotation pattern front to rear, X pattern forward cross. These patterns are designed for a theoretical average vehicle with theoretical average wear. Your vehicle is not theoretical. Your actual wear pattern is determined by music, your specific alignment geometry, your driving habits, your typical load, and whether you favor left or right lanes on your daily commute. I'm serious about that last one. Consistent lane choice creates consistent cornering load on specific tires. The trick is reading your actual wear before every rotation and customizing where each tire goes based on what you see. Music, heavier, worn tires move to the rear axle where cornering loads are lower on a front-wheel drive vehicle. Tires showing feathering from alignment move to positions where that wear pattern self-corrects under load. This isn't complicated once you understand what you're looking at, but it requires 5 minutes of inspection that the quick lube shop running your car through in 12 minutes has zero interest in music performing. Drivers who do this report 12 to 18,000 additional miles from the same set of tires compared to rope pattern rotation. At 60 cents per mile in tire cost, that's real money sitting in your wheel wells right now. Trick number 9, the brake bedding music secret. New brake pads installed on your vehicle today are not ready to perform at their rated stopping capacity. Not even close. And almost nobody tells you this. Brake pads work through a process called transfer music film. During normal braking, pad material deposits in a microscopically thin, even layer onto the rotor surface. That layer becomes part of the friction interface. It fills microscopic surface irregularities, music in the rotor, creates uniform contact across the entire pad face, and dramatically improves stopping music force. New pads on new rotors have zero transfer film. The contact is irregular, high spot to high spot, and the coefficient of friction is well below what the pad manufacturer specification sheet rates. Bedding the brakes yourself takes 15 minutes on a quiet road. 8 to 10 stops from 50 mph to about 10 mm with firm, music, consistent pressure, not panic stops. Controlled, firm deceleration. Allow 60 seconds of cooling music between each stop to prevent heat soak. After the sequence, allow 15 minutes of normal driving before any hard braking. What you'll feel after proper bedding versus skipping it is not subtle. Pedal feel gets firmer. Bite on initial application sharpens. Stopping distances from 60 mph improve by up to 15% on freshly bedded pads, music, versus unbedded pads on the same vehicle. Every performance driver knows this. Every shop that installs your brakes and hands you the keys knows this. Very few of them explain it unprompted. Trick number 10, the cold start idle trick. Modern engine management systems reach closed loop fueling within 30 to 45 seconds of music, a cold start. Your engine technically doesn't need a warm-up period. That part of the old advice is actually correct. Everything else in your drivetrain is a different music story entirely. Your automatic transmission fluid is cold and thick. Cold ATF doesn't circulate through the valve body properly. Shift quality suffers. Clutch packs engage harshly. Your power steering fluid is cold. Music. Your wheel bearing grease is cold and stiff. Your differential fluid is cold. Every one of these components runs under elevated stress during those first 60 music seconds, and none of them have a warning light to tell you. So the trick is 60 seconds of idle before moving, not 5 minutes. Music, not the block heater mythology from the 1970s. Just 60 seconds for fluids to begin circulating before music. You ask them to transmit load. 1 minute per morning. The components it protects cost music thousands to replace. I have a neighbor who replaces his transmission every 4 years. Music. He also drives away before his taillights fully illuminate. Make of that what you will. Trick number 11, the fuel injector. Music. Cleaning truth. Fuel injector cleaning is one of the most oversold services in the automotive industry. Music. Shops charge $100 to $150. They connect a pressurized canister to your fuel rail, run cleaner through the system for 20 minutes, music, and hand you a bill. Here's what Lucas Fuel Treatment, Music Royal Purple, Max Clean. These three contain documented P concentrations. Use one every 15,000 hours. You will never pay for an injector cleaning service again. Trick number 12, the mass sensor, cleaning secret. Your mass airflow sensor measures the volume and density of air entering your engine at every moment of operation. Music. Your ECU uses that data to calculate precise fuel delivery. If that data is wrong by 10%, your fuel delivery is wrong by 10%. Your combustion efficiency drops, your fuel economy drops, your throttle response drops. No warning light illuminates music because the sensor is functioning. It's just dirty. A contaminated MAF sensor is one of the most common causes of poor fuel economy that no diagnostic code will ever point you toward. Dust, oil mist from your crankcase ventilation system, and fine particulate buildup on the hot wire element inside the sensor housing. Over time, the resistance characteristics of the wire change, the readings drift low, your ECU adds fuel to compensate for what it perceives as lower airflow. A $7 can of CRC, a MAF sensor cleaner, and it must say MAF sensor cleaner specifically, not carburetor cleaner, not brake cleaner. Those will destroy the element. And 5 minutes of your time restores sensor accuracy, music, to within factory specification. Remove the sensor, 10 quick bursts from 6 in a way on the wire element. Allow to dry for 10 minutes. Reinstall. Perform the ECU reset, I'll describe in trick number 16. And let the ECU relearn against now accurate airflow data. Drivers who do this as part of a regular 30,000 MI service routine consistently report 5 to 10% fuel economy recovery on $15,000 per year at $350 a gallon. That's real money you're currently leaving at the pump. Trick number 13, the power steering fluid trick. Music. Here is a component that every driver uses every single drive. And essentially, no driver ever services until the rack and pinion fails. And the repair bill arrives at $200 to $1,800. Power steering fluid degrades through heat cycling, oxidation, and contamination from the metal components it circulates through. By 50,000 RMI in a vehicle that has never had a fluid service, your power steering fluid is dark, music acidic, carrying metallic particles from pump wear and actively accelerating corrosion inside the rack and pinion seals, music, and the pump housing. The turkey baster flush. This is the trick. A $3 turkey baster from any grocery store. Music. With the engine cold, use the baster to remove as much fluid from the power steering reservoir as possible. Refill with fresh fluid to the correct level. Music. Start the engine. Turn the wheel lock to lock 5 times. Shut the engine off. Repeat the base to remove. Refill again. 2 cycles of this process exchanges approximately 70 to music, 80% of the fluid in the system without any special equipment. Total material cost around $6 depending on your vehicle's specified music fluid type. A shop charges $60 to $80 for the same service. Do this at $50,000 MI and every $30,000 MI thereafter. Music? The rack and pinion on your vehicle has no idea what preventive maintenance feels like right now. Give music it one trick number 14, the serpentine belt tension secret. A serpentine belt losing tension doesn't fail dramatically. Music. It squeals on cold mornings for 5 minutes, then goes quiet. Drivers hear it, shrug, music, and move on. The belt isn't the problem. What's happening behind it is an undertensioned belt slips on the alternator pulley under electrical load. Slippage means the alternator isn't spinning music at its designed speed. Output voltage drops from 14.2 V to somewhere around 13.4. That fraction of a volt means your battery never reaches full charge ever. Music. It sits permanently between 90 and 95% state of charge. Music. A battery that never fully charges, never fully dissolves, leads sulfate crystals from its plates. Soft sulfation begins quietly. Capacity drops faster than normal. A battery engineered for 60 months fails at 36. Music. And nobody connects the dead battery to the squeaky belt from 18 months earlier because the gap between cause and consequence is too wide to see. Belt tension check takes 2 minutes. So music. Half an inch of deflection maximum under firm finger pressure on the longest free span. A tensioner replacement costs music $40 to $80. The chain reaction it stops costs dramatically more. Trick number 15, the differential fluid secret nobody mentions. Manufacturers publish differential fluid change intervals of 75,000 to 100,000 hourly under normal service. Those intervals assume you never tow, never go off-road, music, never drive in sustained heat, and never subject the differential to anything outside of what the engineering team defined as average when they wrote the maintenance schedule. Fluid from a differential that has seen one summer of towing, one off-road trip, or extended highway driving in high ambient temperatures tells a completely different story. Music, at 60,000 horsepower than the schedule suggests. Heat breaks down the extreme pressure additives in differential fluid faster than mileage accumulates. Without those additives, gear face contact under load generates metal-to-metal wear that circulates back through the fluid as ferrous music contamination. Drain your rear differential at $60,000 regardless of what the schedule says. Music. Hold the drain plug up to a shop light. If the fluid is dark brown, metallic in appearance, or has the consistency of used motor oil, you are looking at a component that is eating itself. A $30 fluid change just extended music a $3,000 differential. If the fluid comes out golden or amber and relatively clean, great. You just confirm the schedule is working for your specific use. European tire and rubber manufacturers. Association documents fuel economy differences of 8 to 12%. Music between drivers operating identical vehicles over identical routes, attributable purely to throttle and braking technique. 12% at 15,000 hours per year at $3.50 per gallon. That's $150 to $200 per year. That smooth driving puts back in your pocket with no investment whatsoever. Music. The car industry makes nothing when you drive smoothly. The tire industry makes nothing when your tires last longer because you're not accelerating hard into every corner. Music. The brake industry makes nothing when your pads last 60,000 horsepower instead of 35,000, and nobody in any of those industries is going to walk up to you and explain technique. So I will, because that's what this channel exists to do. Here's what 17 tricks looks like as a complete maintenance philosophy. Music. Oil level managed with precision rather than approximation. Fuel system protected from habits. Music nobody warned you about. Air and fuel delivery kept clean with $7 solutions instead of $150 service bills. Ignition optimized for the actual engine under your hood, not the theoretical one that left the factory. Cooling system monitored by chemistry rather than calendar. Electrical system maintained music at the terminal level before it corrupts sensor data throughout. Tires managed by reading what they're telling you rather than following a generic rotation chart. Brake system bedded properly and driven intelligently. Drivetrain fluids changed when the fluid says so, not when the schedule says so. And an ECU that learns against accurate inputs instead of compensating for years of neglect. The industry profits from the gap, music, between what your car is capable of and what it delivers after years of conventional maintenance advice. Every music. One of these 17 tricks closes part of that gap. All 17 together, music close most of it. I'm Adrian. This is Carrari Garage. If this video just saved you from one service bill you didn't need to pay, hit the subscribe button because next week I'm going into the engine oil myths that are costing you your engine one cold start at a time. You need to see that one before your next oil change. Watch it next.